In the annals of African history, there are names etched with defiance, wisdom, and grace, names that echo through time, whispering strength into the ears of generations unborn. Among them, one rises with the fire of a lioness and the wisdom of centuries, Queen Nzinga of Ndongo and Matamba. She was not born into a world of ease or comfort, but one of encroaching threats, of Portuguese colonizers hungry for land, for gold, for people. But Nzinga did not cower. She stood. She fought. She reigned. Come with me now as we journey into the heart of 17th century Central Africa, into the life of a woman who refused to bow, a queen who became a legend. Nzinga was born around 1583 in the kingdom of Ndongo, in what is now modern-day Angola. She was of royal blood, daughter of King Kiluwanji Kiasamba, ruler of the Mbundu people. Her name, Nzinga Mbande, comes from the Kimbundu verb kujinga, meaning to twist, a nod to the umbilical cord wrapped around her neck at birth, a sign her people believed foretold greatness. She grew up in the royal court, learning not only the rituals of Mbundu royalty, but also the art of war, diplomacy, and governance. Unlike most girls of her time, Nzinga trained with warriors and scholars alike. Her father saw in her not just a daughter, but a future leader. By the time her brother Mbande ascended to the throne, Nzinga was already a fierce strategist, often advising on matters of state and battle. But tensions brewed within the royal family and beyond. The early 1600s were years of turmoil. The Portuguese had established a stronghold on the coast and were pushing inland, desperate to expand their slave trade empire. They allied with rival African groups, destabilizing Ndongo. When King Mbande took the throne, his reign was marked by fear and instability. He executed rivals, including Nzinga's own child, her son, viewed as a potential threat to his rule. Yet when diplomacy was needed, it was Nzinga he turned to. In 1622, she traveled to Luanda to negotiate with the Portuguese governor. She arrived not as a subordinate, but as an equal. Legend tells of the moment she entered the room and was offered no seat. Unshaken, Nzinga ordered one of her attendants to drop to all fours and sat upon his back as if on a royal throne. She made her presence known. A queen bows to no one. The treaty she secured brought temporary peace, but it would not last. After her brother's death, possibly by suicide, possibly not, Nzinga seized power. In a world where female rulers were rare, she declared herself queen of Ndongo and later of Matamba, a neighboring kingdom she would conquer and rule for decades. She defied not only the Portuguese, but the expectations of a patriarchal world. She led armies into battle, often dressed as a man in full warrior regalia, wielding a spear and shield. She rode into war beside her troops, fearless and composed. Nzinga's army was fierce, composed of Mbundu warriors, escaped slaves, and even former enemies. She formed alliances with the Dutch to counter Portuguese power and offered refuge to those fleeing enslavement. Her kingdom became a beacon of resistance. She was not only a fighter, but a master of psychological warfare. She spread rumors, forged documents, and outwitted her enemies again and again. The Portuguese called her a devil in woman's flesh, but to her people, she was a protector. For nearly 40 years, Queen Nzinga led a tireless campaign against the Portuguese, refusing to let them turn her homeland into a slave depot. Even as peace eluded her, she resisted. She adapted, retreating to the mountains when necessary, launching surprise attacks, using every tool at her disposal. But war takes its toll. In her later years, Nzinga turned to diplomacy once more. She negotiated a fragile peace with the Portuguese, securing recognition of her rule over Matamba and protection for her people. She converted to Christianity, not as submission, but as strategy. Her baptismal name, Ana de Sousa, was a nod to her godfather, the Portuguese governor. She knew symbols had power. She wielded them as weapons. When she died in 1663, in her 80s, Nzinga left behind a stable, sovereign kingdom, one that would resist colonization long after her final breath. Nzinga was queen, but she was also human, a complex woman who lived through betrayal, grief, and unimaginable pressure. She ruled in a world on fire, forced to make impossible choices. Some accounts speak of cruelty, of alliances with slave traders, of brutal retribution. Others remember her as a liberator, a mother of her people. The truth, as always, lives in the space between. What cannot be denied is her genius, her ability to play empires against each other, to lead a nation in war and peace, and to defy the might of Portugal for nearly half a century. Few women, few rulers have done what Nzinga did. She did not inherit a stable kingdom. She carved it with blood, strategy, and fire. She bent history to her will. Today, Nzinga's name lives on in the songs of griots, the murals on city walls, the poems and the plays. Statues rise in her image in Luanda. Scholars debate her politics. Activists chant her name. She is not a figure of the past. She is a mirror for the present. In every woman who rises against oppression, in every nation that defies colonization, Nzinga breathes. To the children of Africa and her diaspora, Nzinga is not just a queen. She is a promise that no matter the chains they try to place upon us, we will break them. That no matter the thrones denied to us, we will build our own. May her story remind us that resistance is sacred, that dignity is not given but claimed, and that the fire of freedom once lit cannot be extinguished. Long live Queen Nzinga!